All right, you're finally riding the wave here today, catching a new wave on what's happening in the sales pipeline with Matt Hines somewhere out in the world here. He is never at his office, folks. He is always out there in the field finding out what's happening firsthand. I think he must be in the Middle East right now because the connection sounds really remote.
Well, you know, what's funny is the wave is appropriate for today. I'm in Seattle, but I'm in between meetings. We are still launching. We're still the launch of full funnel marketing is still in full effect. So we are in the midst of a couple of different launch events for the book. And I say wave is appropriate because we are apparently now in the midst of a Pacific Ocean typhoon, the remnants of which have made their way up to the Pacific Northwest. So today through Saturday, we are getting dumped on, and so welcome to fall here in Seattle. I don't know if down there in sunny Southern California, Paul, are you getting any of this?
None of it, but just a little overcast. But I know that Matt Hines will not let a typhoon get in his way of doing this show every week here.
This is like the post office, Paul. You know, come hell or high water.
That's right.
Rain, sleet, snow cannot keep us from our appointed sales rounds. So thanks, everyone, for joining us for Sales Pipeline Radio. Sorry we're going a little late, but we have some great content for you today, a great guest. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. Jamie Shanks is our guest today. I've known Jamie for years, and for those of you that have heard, read about, or have attempted to jump onto the social selling movement, Jamie's one of the pioneers, and he has written a new book called Social Selling Mastery that is masterful. It is very quickly, since its publication just a couple weeks ago, become sort of the go-to resource for social selling. So, Jamie, thanks very much for joining us today.
Matt, anytime. You know I would do this for you at any time.
So, talk a little bit about, Jamie, like where where you got started in social selling. I mean, you've been in the trenches of the sales as a frontline sales rep and as a sales leader and executive for a long time. How did you get started on the social selling bandwagon yourself?
Yeah, long and the short for everybody. I'm here in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, and I had a failing business. I was doing Sales 2.0, inside sales consulting. I thought I was the bee's knees, and I basically went bankrupt. And there's a whole story behind that. But the long and the short is I needed to change with the buyer. I didn't change, the buyer changed. And so I didn't look for social selling. It was a survival mechanism that I used in 2011 to keep myself afloat. But what I recognized I had done was reverse engineered real sales process into leveraging social media as a means of booking new appointments, nurturing accounts, going deeper with customers. And that was the origination of our first social selling methodology.
So I think we're at a point now where a lot of people sort of have their own sense of what social selling is, but I think there's an awful lot of incorrect definitions of social selling in the market as well. Can you give us your definition of what is social selling in late 2016? What does it mean for professional salespeople?
Yeah, what I'd like everybody to do is think of a Venn diagram, 3 circles. The intersecting middle is what social selling is, and social selling is made up of 3 types of sales processes. First, insights-based selling. I'm a sales professional. I need to move the ball 5 yards. I need to help a customer along that buying journey, and I need to help them do due diligence so they can be an informed buyer. Arm them with enough information to become an informed buyer. Number 2, trigger-based selling. So whether those are external triggers such as job change alerts, or those are macro environment triggers such as shifts in our customers' industries, or they've raised funds such as venture capital, these are opportunities to strike up contextual conversations. And then the third one is referral-based selling. So I'm mechanizing referral. None of these were invented by social selling. They're just being mechanized through tools like LinkedIn and Twitter. So referral-based selling, I actually did this last night. Every single customer we win, we then go into the LinkedIn networks of the decision makers that we've been working with over the last year, and we roadmap their relationships to potential future customers. And then we broker introductions. And so last night, booking a sales qualified lead in our own business, eating our own dog food. But LinkedIn happens to be that CRM of record for the data I need to execute referral-based selling. That's what social selling is, the convergence of those three processes.
We're talking today with Jamie Shanks on Sales Pipeline Radio. Jamie is the CEO of the firm Sales for Life, a Toronto-based sales consulting firm that has really been on the forefront of social selling training, social selling evangelism, and Jamie's the recent author of the book, Social Selling Mastery. And I think there's still to this day, Jamie, are those that think social media has really no rightful place in sales, that it's a waste of time. I mean, it's not that long ago that we had sales floors that would actually ban social media sites from their sales reps' computers, thinking they were just a distraction. Do you still see that? I mean, your team and you personally have trained, I don't know how many salespeople, and I know it's all over the world. Do you still see those objections, and how easy and how different has it been to combat it now that you've seen the results of social selling from so many organizations and sales teams worldwide as well?
Yeah, I'm seeing it a lot less frequently. When we started this business, we launched the very first curriculum in the summer of 2012. And in the first 2 years, we had to do a lot of evangelism on the why. Why would you ever have your sales professionals distracted from their traditional communications methods of the phone and email? By late 2016, for the most part, we don't have to have those conversations anymore. But the big question is, how? They're like, I get that we have these tools. I get that it can amplify our brand, our messages, our ability to communicate with the customer. But now it's all about because right now it just looks like, spaghetti strewn on the floor. There's tools. There's how does it integrate in my current methodology? There is process. It's a big confusing mess. So the only industries that are probably still in the why, I know some of the financials, basically ones that are heavily regulated, like financial services or insurance. Unfortunately, they're still going through the why, but most industries have already bypassed that by now because their customers have demanded it. And it's not that the sales team wants to change. It's that the customer has changed, and the sales team is now recognizing we need to change with it.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, I think, our business, I know your business has benefited from this. Our business has certainly grown in part because of what we've been able to do to kind of build, manage, and even convert relationships on social media, and just leveraging that as just to get another channel, but a pretty powerful channel to engage with prospects at all stages of the buying process. Normally, I can see Paul in his studio in sunny California, and he gives me hand signals for when we need to take a break. And I'm blind today since we're doing this a different way. So, Paul, given what time it is, I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to take a break since I know we got sponsors that we want to take care of as well. We'll be right back very soon with Jamie Shanks, the author of Social Selling Mastery. We're going to get into the book, what the book's meant, what kind of feedback it's had, and talk a little about where social selling's going and where the show's going here the last couple months of the year. We'll be right back. Sales Pipeline Radio.
Whether you're producing a seminar series, users conference, lunch and learn, or exhibiting at a trade show, Validar has a solution. From capturing leads at trade shows to managing on-site registration, tracking session attendance, gathering information, and providing sponsors lead retrieval, we have a full suite of solutions for you. Since 2005, Validar has been turning corporate events and trade shows into better business. Call 888-784-2929 or visit us at validar.com.
In a world where the speed of innovation and change in B2B marketing has never been greater, the only thing bigger is the need for clarity, for a blueprint, for a guide to what's really working. And how about a way to apply it specifically today to increase sales pipeline growth, velocity, and most of all, conversion? That's what you'll find in the Modern Marketer's Field Guide. And amazingly, you can download it for free. HeinzMarketing.com, just like it sounds, HeinzMarketing. It encompasses the entire sales and marketing cycle, but in quick bursts with lots of specific, actionable ideas, strategies, tactics you can put to work right away, like today. The loaded table of contents helps you narrow in and tackle a problem. and it's something you can come back to over and over again as a reference guide. Why not download your free copy of the Modern Marketer's Field Guide? It's free. HeinzMarketing.com, just like it sounds. HEINZ, marketing.com. All right, you did a great job there, Matt, calling the commercials without any insight as to where we're at here, but I appreciate that. Let's go with, just so everybody's clear, it's coming up on 11:50 here. Let's go to like 11:56 or 57 here, and then we'll have to break and end to go to the next show here.
There we go. God bless you, Paul. Paul is our capable producer. We've been doing this long enough now, or I think I can look at the clock and I kind of figure this out. But appreciate everyone joining us today on Sales Pipeline Radio. We are doing it live from downtown Seattle. If you want to hear more about our shows, those that we've actually started on time, as well as those where we are sort of flying by the seat of our pants, you can check us out at salespipelineradio.com. You can always subscribe to our podcast, which is replays and edited versions of this show at Google Play and the iTunes Store. A lot of great guests coming up next week. We will also be on the road a little further away from downtown Seattle, Paul. We'll be actually in downtown Boston for the Marketing Pros B2B Forum. I'm very excited to have our guest next week will be Matt Bonatti, who's the CEO of Lead Gnome. And then shortly after that, we've got Jim Ninavaji, who's one of the premier sales enablement experts currently working at BrainShark, formerly of Serious Decisions. Going to talk about what we're doing in the market to drive value from sales enablement efforts and organizations as well. But today, Jamie Shanks. Jamie, thanks again for joining us today. I want to talk about the book. Talk a little bit about sales, social selling mastery, where this came from, sort of what was your impetus for writing the book, and give us a little synopsis of what people are going to find when they read it.
Fantastic. Yeah, so the why I wrote it. Neil Rackham's Spin Selling. Okay, it comes out in 1973. People thought he was a goofball for writing a book that took his intellectual property and put it on page. And people said, "You're crazy. What are you doing? That's your whole business." But what he recognized is his true inherent need and want to genuinely help the sales community. I know that sounds corny as hell, but that is honestly why I wrote it. Because, listen, we're inside some of the largest companies in the world, and the confusion on this topic is massive because what has not been written up until this point was around global scale. Okay, so there's been books that help sales professionals understand social media, but that's just random acts of social. What we put together is the book is divided into 4 sections, and it brings together what sales leaders, sales enablement and sales operations, marketing, digital content marketing, and the sales professionals do. There's these 4 parts come together and converge into what's called social selling mastery, where it becomes a routine, a dance. And I wrote this thing because I genuinely wanted to debunk the myth that this is not just sprinkled around your sales team and it's decentralized. It is a dance between sales enablement and operations, sales leadership, and marketing, getting everybody together, thinking and aligning to the digital buyer. That's why I wrote it.
Now, I know obviously people can find it on Amazon. I mean, I've recently read it. It's fantastic. It is, there's a lot of puffery in the social selling world. I think there's a lot of great people that talk about kind of what social selling could do, but really don't give any specific advice. You give the strategy, you give the framework, and you also give specifics on how to actually make it happen. So obviously, people can find the book on Amazon, but also, one of the reasons I love you, Jamie, is that you guys are so generous with your ideas. You blog on a daily basis. Your blog is filled with great ideas. What are the best ways for people that are either, want to learn about the book or just want to get a primer on social selling and what it can be doing more actively for their sales organization in 2017? What do you recommend they look at?
Well, one of the things that we're starting to get into, and I appreciate you like the blog, and I started this business where I had some original thoughts, but I curated a lot. I mean, Matt, I can't tell you. I used to print out your ebooks and show them to customers, almost like it was my own original ideas. And the reality is over the years, we recognized to a point, we would curate to a point, but there wasn't net new insights in this social selling space. So we've started doubling down on research projects, on looking at how learning is translating into behavior and that behavior is turning into revenue. So correlating learning to revenue, essentially, because we're an enablement company. So I do recommend, we are creating a lot of bigger assets around data sets that you as a sales leader or marketing leader can then give to your senior executives to say, like, these are studies. These are things that they've done, and Matt was mentioning, we have 70,000 sales professionals that have been certified in our curriculum. Like, that's a lot of data that we can provide you and your team. So, anyways, I appreciate that you've enjoyed the content.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think clearly still a critical, as much as you've been involved in social selling for a long time, as long as you and I have talked about it, it's been around for a while, but still a lot of companies that are still sort of getting their feet wet and sort of getting their sea legs under them in terms of leveraging this and integrating this into their sales organization. So, which leads me to the next question. Is social selling going to be a thing in 3 to 5 years? Will it simply be an integrated part of sales strategy? Will we still be thinking of it as sort of a separate social selling effort? Where do you see that going and evolving over the next few years?
If I've done my job correctly, the word social selling would be like calling it email selling now. It would just be ubiquitous with the sales process. So the only reason we use the word social selling is to distinguish it not only for search engine optimization, as a lead generation. I mean, let's be honest, we're in business here. But the second side of it is to distinguish that there is another means of communication and education to your customer. But in 3 to 5 years, it's probably going to be longer than that, but in 5 to 10 years, this should just become part of the norm. And that the digital buyer and the digital seller, which is in 50-50 partnership with the digital marketer, are going to market and meeting in this digital world. That's just the way it's going to be. And you will feel silly a decade from now calling it social selling.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably one of the best answers I think I've heard in a long time around the future of social selling. Not surprised to hear from our guest today, Jamie Shanks, the CEO of Sales for Life, and author of the new book, Social Selling Mastery. Highly encourage you to check out this book, which does a great job of providing a framework, strategy, and tactics to help you sell more using social media. Thanks very much for joining us today on Sales Pipeline Radio. I want to thank our guest, Jamie Shanks. I want to thank our producer, Paul, for putting up with me and dealing with the ever-winding travels and travails as we make this show possible. Definitely check out this replay of today's episode on salespipelineradio.com, as well as through our podcast feed. You can get every past episode as well as future episodes automatically from Google Play and the iTunes Store. As always, a transcript of today's conversation will be available on our website at heinzmarketing.com on our blog. And join us every week, come rain or shine, Skype or phone. Maybe we'll do it through carrier pigeon someday, 11:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern, every Thursday on Sales Pipeline Radio. This has been Matt Heinz. Thanks very much for joining us and listening to Sales Pipeline Radio.
Even if he has to put a string in a cup at the end of it, Matt Heinz is going to bring you the latest and greatest on what's happening in the sales pipeline each and every week. Right here on Funnel Radio.